just wanted to pass on that we had a message from Jerry and Pontotoc. He said that, hey, Gerard, I pick at you about State and Ole Miss, but I think we agree when I say thanks to our servicemen and women for protecting our great nation. God bless America. Absolutely agree. Charles and Matheson, after hearing our interview with the Gold Star family members, says, what a touching and relevant interview, gentlemen. Thank you, ladies, for sharing your story. I agree. What a touching story it was indeed. And we welcome now Tommy Lofton, the director of the Mississippi Armed Forces Museum. Tommy, kind of hard to follow that, isn't it? I mean, that was awesome. No, but that's what this is all about.
That's exactly right. That's what this holiday weekend is all about. That's what this museum is about. You know, the Mississippi Armed Forces Museum, and I said it as part of the ceremony, we are the state's official military museum. We're designed to honor and remember the men and women who have worn the uniform for the state. And I would say quite a significant portion of our collection actually comes from individuals who were killed in action in various wars. And so for us, well, in some sense, every day is Memorial Day for us as a museum. It's important for us to remind the general public, and especially the young people who come through here, that, you know, it's easy to sort of forget how unique our freedoms are as Americans and as Mississippians, and it's also easy to look at a lot of negativity and other things.
That's right.
It's important to remember we can complain as much as we want to about politics, we can argue about religion, whatever else, but we have the right to do that because of men and women who have paid the ultimate sacrifice and who've worn the uniform for our state.
No doubt about it. You know, I also feel like that our media tends to focus on the big mouths that are in the slim minority of people in our country. When you hear these ladies talking about traveling around and speaking to Rotary clubs and civic clubs and so forth, sure, and you know they're getting unbelievable positive response and reaction and recognition and respect, I think that truly does represent the vast majority of Americans. They just don't say a lot about it. The people that seem to be mad and aggrieved all the time, they're the ones that have big mouths and seem to have a lot of time on their hand to go out and whine and protest and bellyache. And you know what? I think you and I would agree that those who wear our uniform and who paid that ultimate sacrifice still believe that that they did the right thing in protecting their right to go out and protest like that.
Yeah, you know, and a little bit of everything goes a long way with the freedoms that we have available or that we make use of. But it's just important, I think, to remember how we get those, where those come from, and the fact that, you know, it's so cliche to say freedom isn't free, but it's also so true. And, you know, for me we had several Gold Star family members here today from several different families. And it was really impactful to sit there and talk to them and think about what this weekend really means to them. You know, it's the kickoff for summer, sure, and it's you know, you see all this stuff with sales on TV and other things, but you know, as we were saying earlier, it's hard to say really have a happy Memorial Day when you remember what it's about. But I'm looking over your shoulder, and I hope you don't mind. I saw something else Charles sent you about the boomers, if you will.
Charles and Matheson.
And I just would like for Charles to know, and others that are listening, that I've been very excited and encouraged seeing so many young people coming through, especially in the last few months with field trips, that get it. They understand. They don't maybe know all the history or appreciate it yet, depending on their age ranges and things. But it's been really cool this year to see how many students are coming through and understand service and sacrifice. And, you know, we see exhibits, you know, like right out in front of us here, and we've talked about it before. You know, you have Casey Casanova out here and Gerald Johnston in the World War II exhibit who flew and went down with the Mississippi Mission, B-17. You know, there's so many unique things in here that I've seen so many young people show patriotism in such a way that it's easy for all of us who are older to go, young kids don't care.
Yeah.
Guess what? I'm actually thankfully seeing that.
That's good.
And I got to say, too, I think a lot of it is our teachers in Mississippi.
Well, that's excellent. That's very gratifying to hear.
Great to see how encouraging and patriotic the teachers are being, and that's private schools and public alike. So
it's good.
You know, everybody wants to hate on Mississippi a little bit here and there, but you know what? I'm proud. I'm proud of what we're doing and what we're accomplishing.
I agree.
We're not perfect, but we're working our way and getting better every day.
I just feel like if we can enlighten our students when they're young and inform them and make them aware of our history.
Yeah.
And the sacrifices made, the struggles made through the entire history of our country, honestly, how we got here and what enables them and us to enjoy these freedoms we do today, they're more likely to be respectful, law-abiding, productive citizens as a result.
It's true. I think there's a lot of truth to that, and I'm glad to see that no matter what we may see on the news, and having traveled even recently, and we were just talking about France, it's still impressive as an American and as a Mississippian to go to Normandy and places, and even in Paris, I had great experiences. But you spend time there in Normandy, and you see how many American flags are out. You see how they honor our fallen, and in their towns, not just in the American cemetery there, but it is really impressive, and it's something I wish we could just take plane loads of people over there and let them experience at least once in their lives.
Yeah.
But we really have a lot to be thankful for, and I think if we don't continue to talk about history, it's been a lot of emphasis on maths and sciences and other things in the education system for many years. Unfortunately, I have seen, in my opinion, some failures on the side of history. But I feel like we're in an upswing. I think from what I'm seeing, at least in our experience here in our visitation, things are getting a little bit better.
Well, the Colonel said that you've had an increase in the number of field trips.
We have. It's been exciting, frankly. It's some days it's kind of funny because we'll know we have a school group or two, and then an additional bus or two will show up from other schools unexpectedly. But it's what we're here for. Yeah. It's what we enjoy. It may be a challenge for about 5 minutes, but we'll get it all sorted out and get everybody on their way in through the exhibits and learning something.
What's going on in the museum? Anything new or planned that you can share with us?
Yes, so we're trying to do several things right now. We're getting ready to, and we started this process and then had so many field trips we had to sort of pause it a little bit, but redo some of our World War II exhibits. As you enter World War II soon, we will have video components we're adding, showing footage from Pearl Harbor, but also showing Mississippi's response to Pearl Harbor, and showing some of the first Mississippians to raise their hand and enlist and join up and serve in the military. So we'll have some of that and revamp some of our World War II exhibits over time. We're also getting ready to redo 1812, Mexican War, Civil War, some of the earlier wars, because we've received a lot of new artifacts. Frankly. As bad as COVID was for everybody, it did give people a little bit more perspective in thinking about, for 50 years I've had this Civil War rifle under my bed or whatever. It's been neat to kind of see some things that are very unique roll into this museum, and we're looking forward to getting some of those items out on display and being able to do more with those wars. It'll be an exciting.
So, Tommy, when that happens, like when a family comes forward and says, look, this has been sitting in my attic and it really needs to be in a place where it could be enjoyed and just taught and exposed, does it come at maybe as how do I term this, as a surprise to the curators, to those who create even the historians that said, gee, I didn't even know this, that I'm learning about this sort of piece of history that otherwise I would not have known about.
Of course, you always learn something new. I mean, that's what's neat about history is it is sort of etched in stone, but there's a lot of ancillary things. Or what's neat
just wasn't documented.
Well, right. We may know the overall story of something like D-Day or the invasion of Iwo Jima. What's neat is when you get into the personal stories and personal accounts. For me, I was learning yesterday. I was doing some research on a Mississippian who got the Distinguished Service Cross on Omaha Beach on D-Day, was killed in action. I'm like, why have I never heard of this guy before?
Exactly.
I want to do more with his story. He was from, I think, the Macomb area, if I remember correctly. There's things like that we run across, stories that we run across, or people that we find that we didn't even know. Oh, they were born and raised in Mississippi and went on to other things maybe in another state or in a political office in D.C. or something like that, not affiliated necessarily with Mississippi, but there's always surprises, and it's frankly kind of exciting. We can't take everything everybody brings to us, or else we'd need a storage warehouse half the size of Camp Shelby. But and put that in perspective for folks, I think you could fit like 5 Disney Worlds inside Camp Shelby, by the way.
It's huge. We were talking about it earlier.
Yeah, it's massive. So we'd need one heck of a storage area to put everything. But we try to select what we can save, what we can conserve. And, it's a great opportunity for us to present history to Mississippi and let folks find, actual heroes and learn about people that we should be remembering and don't need to forget.
Well, it's absolutely well done. It's world class. It is a tremendous asset to the state of Mississippi, and it's necessary that we preserve this history and we honor those who served in our military, and that's what we do here.
And it's a free museum.
And it's free on top of that. It's a great deal, and everybody should come visit it. No doubt about it. You will not be disappointed. Tommy, always good to see you. Appreciate you coming on. I think we're going to talk one more time.
We will.
Folks, we're stepping aside for a break. We're coming right back at the Mississippi Armed Forces Museum at Camp Shelby. Stay with us. Back, everyone. It's Middays live from the Mississippi Armed Forces Museum at Camp Shelby. We welcome back Tommy Lofton, Director of Mississippi Armed Forces Museum. So, Tommy, we've had a good day, as we always do here at the Mississippi Armed Forces Museum. Great timing, as we always schedule the program live from the museum the Friday before Memorial Day. I think that's incredibly appropriate. And of course, you had an event today.
We did.
Yeah, tell us about that again.
Yeah, we did. We have, every Friday, for your regular listeners, you'll remember, or if you're first time, every Friday going into Memorial Day, we set aside time to have a brief ceremony to remember the fallen, and fallen Mississippians especially. Excuse me. And each year we also try to pull aside and focus on at least one family. And this year we honored Sam Dale, Second Lieutenant Sam Dale, from the Hattiesburg, Columbia area here. And he was a P-47 pilot. I know you interviewed some of his family a little while ago. They did a phenomenal job.
Great job, yeah.
And, for us, it's important because it's so easy to lose. People forget, Memorial Day versus Veterans Day versus Armed Forces Day, all the meanings. They're all patriotic, but people sort of forget which one's which.
That's right.
And Memorial Day is a day that's set aside for us to honor the fallen, to honor those who've paid the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. And so it's so important that we do that. So we do this ceremony for the people. We had a good turnout today, especially considering, it's a lot of schools are getting out today. My kids included. I think had a 60% day this morning. So it is really reassuring, too, to see that we had a lot of young people and different age ranges of folks within the museum today and going through. And we've had a lot of visitors since you've been in here going through the museum, and I've seen them sneaking pictures from the other side of this door here. And, we're just honored to have y'all here, and thank y'all again for doing this. Cause
absolutely.
It's important that we talk about these kinds of things so that we don't lose track of what is really important in being an American and enjoying our freedoms.
Tommy, what about folks that are not from Mississippi, that are from out of state, that find their way to the museum and take the tour? Are these people generally, are they just interested, have an interest in touring the facility? Do they perhaps have a connection? Maybe they live out of state but have loved ones that are from Mississippi that served in the military?
We get all the above, really.
Okay.
We get folks who had loved ones who trained here at Camp Shelby for World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Global War on Terror, and they want to come through. Some of them are going maybe on their way to New Orleans or to the coast or Mobile, and they want to stop in here just to see, this is where my father, my brother, my grandfather, whoever, or grandmother, they want to see Camp Shelby, see the museum. And so we get a lot of that, but we also get a lot of guests. We've had some in recently from California, from Oregon, from other states on the West Coast, who just had friends, family friends or whatever suggested or bring them here, and it's been great. I actually had one couple come through not long ago from California that actually liked it so much they sent us a financial donation as a
That's awesome.
thank you. Had no ties to Mississippi, no really connections to Camp Shelby, Camp McCain, Keesler Air Force Base, none of this military stuff in the state. They just happened to come through town and just really fell in love with the fact that we have this museum and the fact that we're honoring Mississippians and Mississippi military men and women who served and those who paid the ultimate sacrifice. And they're like, man, we travel a lot. We don't see a lot of this in other states. And so it meant a lot to us to realize how important this is. It's easy for us even to take this for granted and kind of assume every state does this or has a facility to this size or level or whatever. But no, we're quite honored to do what we do. We have a great staff here. Everyone's completely vested in the mission of what we do here, and it's exciting and fun to come to work.
Yeah. You've talked about it before, but many of the artifacts and the effects that you have in the museum, they were donated by family.
That's right.
Right? And you said that during the COVID era, they started having some time at home and cleaning out and found that these things would be in better care if they were part of the museum here than just sitting in their attic, for example.
That's true. Yeah, we've had quite a bit of things that I think, COVID put a different perspective for a lot of folks, and myself too.
Sure.
I'm thinking about how short life can be and how crazy things can go or happen. And so a lot of folks did. They had time to clean out and bring in sometimes multiple generations.
Wow.
Here's my granddad's stuff from World War II. Here's my dad's stuff from Vietnam, and here's my stuff from Desert Storm. That kind of thing. And or we even had a lady, Linda Goff, who came through and brought during COVID a box load of her brother's artifacts. He's here on display. He was killed in action on Iwo Jima, and we have that display out as well. We honored her a few years ago here, or him a few years ago in our Memorial Day ceremony. So. Mady B. Jones is still one of my favorite exhibits in here too. To start talking about sacrifice and that term Gold Star. And if I can for a second go into that, World War I, we started a tradition where we put a flag in a prominent window of your home with a blue star for every service member in your family. If that individual dies in service, that blue star becomes gold, and that's how we began the Gold Star tradition.
Oh, okay.
Originally Gold Star mothers, now we call it Gold Star families because, believe it or not, dads can cry too.
Sure.
And so we have an exhibit. Mady B. Jones was given the opportunity during the Great Depression, when we're all broke. The government still was able to send Gold Star mothers on a voyage, or actually multiple voyages, to places like France to dedicate monuments and visit their sons or husbands, or all the above, their graves. And Mady B. Jones from Corinth got the chance to go do that. Now, the tragedy in her story is that she actually lost 2 sons in World War I. The grave we have her standing at is one of her sons. We have a photograph of that in our exhibits. The other son was actually in the Navy and was buried at sea during the war. So she had no grave to visit for him, but it's a powerful image in there to see that. She's a civilian, but she's a Gold Star mother, and she thankfully saved a lot of her artifacts from that voyage. And it's a chance for us to go through, because there's a lot of military stuff, a lot of uniforms, guns, helmets, things. This shows a civilian and a citizen perspective and starts the theme, in my opinion, throughout the rest of the museum, especially to show how many artifacts we have and how many families and Gold Star families we have connected to this museum and to our state.
That's incredible.
It's a big thing, and we have a lot to be proud of as Mississippians, and in how many people have served and continue to serve this state. And you've had General Bowles on multiple times, and it's always impressing for me to hear him talk about all the different places that we have folks serving in the state, across the U.S., and around the world.
Yeah.
And Mississippi seems to get called on quite a bit, but I think there's a reason for that. It's because we're good at what we do, and we're proud of what we do.
So let's talk about the base for a second here at Camp Shelby. Share with us a little history. What was the genesis?
Oh, sure. So Mississippi itself was basically picked, or it was decided to build a training site here. And in 1917, there were several places around the state that were being considered. I think one in the Meridian equipment area. But the Newman Lumber Company was actually here on this land and had actually harvested most of the timber. And so we had a few local individuals who were instrumental in getting a few key folks down from Washington, from New York, to come to this site when they were coming down to visit Mississippi. Leonard Wood, General Leonard Wood being one of those. And they get to come out here, look at the site, and realize there's a couple of great things going for them. There's open land because of all the harvesting, and then there was a rail line that ran from here and connected with Hattiesburg. Well, now you have all the infrastructure you need to move soldiers out here. You can get and build on this land. And so that's what happened. They decided to build Camp Shelby right here. And actually, in the area where we're sitting right now and talking, we're in the old sort of cornerstone of World War I Camp Shelby, and the base hospital and everything else was just basically right back behind us, about 30 to 50 yards away. So Camp Shelby today, when you're driving around or see most of it, the road structure, as I understand, and where the buildings are laid out and things, are very much based on World War II. But we're actually sitting on historic property where this museum sits and where you and I are sitting right
incredible.
now. So.
And as I recall, I can't remember who we talked to in one of our remotes explained that the original camp extended all the way down, almost all the way to the coast.
Yeah, we had quite a few soldiers that would train not just where we think of Camp Shelby today, but it really extended outside of the gates. And we were the first or second largest training site, I think, in World War II, is my understanding, in the country. And we had soldiers maneuvering, too, not just where they lived, but they were maneuvering all over the place. And so we occasionally get calls from Wiggins or from Picayune and other places. Hey, I found this thing in my yard. I was digging a flower bed, or whatever. Is this going to explode? That kind of stuff. Most of the time it's buttons or bayonets or dog tags or things like that. But, we do run into that on occasion, and people are really surprised, especially on the coast, to find some of that. But, yeah, we had a lot of people moving around and moving through this state.
Incredible.
In training.
Question about the museum. Will it be open this Monday?
It will be. We'll be open. We're usually closed on Mondays. We're open this Monday for Memorial Day.
Okay.
And every patriotic holiday we're open, and it is free. We'll be open from 9 to 4. And our regular hours every other week, Tuesday through Saturday from 9 to 4, and we're always free.
And there's signage on 49 that's accompanies the sign for the South Gate,
yes.
right?
If you look for Southgate, come into Southgate and stop at the Visitor Center right outside the gate. Get your ID scanned,
real easy,
and then come on post, and you can come right to the museum.
Tommy, appreciate it, man. Thanks for having us, and as always, great job with the museum.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your support.
We're coming right back, folks. Final segment of Middays on this Friday before Memorial Day. We're at the Mississippi Armed Forces Museum at Camp Shelby. Stay with us.